if you have knowledge and you're not using it, you're not implementing what you've learned or sharing it with others, then guess what? It is having a dream that hasn't woken up yet. So, as you know, the 5 pillars of prosperity, for those of you that are stopping by and saying hello on TikTok, the 5 pillars of prosperity is the 5 things we need to live a fulfilled life. Often, we think we can live a fulfilled life with only money. And then as we grow old and the physical prosperity weakens and the mental prosperity crashes and emotional prosperity hurts even more and spiritual prosperity is a question, then all we have to look at is the financial prosperity pillar. Hi, Lisa. See you soon. Shopping tomorrow. So, one of those things for sure we have to make sure that we look at is when we're looking at the 5 pillars of prosperity, if you have knowledge and you're not using the knowledge, you're not implementing what you know in your life, then that is just a dream that hasn't been woken up yet. So the point I'm trying to make is that you do not need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. In our journey through the 5 pillars, we often wait until we feel ready or healed before we act. That is not the point. Prosperity is a practice, not a destination. It is something you do, not just something you study. So those of you that are on TikTok and you're new to this page and you're just coming in and you're flying into the next thing, thank you, Betty. One of the things you have to know for sure is that if somebody has told you all that matters is the accumulation of wealth, I often ask everyone to look at those that do had the accumulation of wealth, but it couldn't keep them emotionally stable. Mentally, they were gone. Physically, they couldn't move. Spiritually, they were questioning whether it is valid to have a God or if God is a punishing God, but they have all these sacks of money around them. So that's why we have to look at the 5 pillars as a group, not one standing by itself, a group that comes together to give us that fulfilled life. Prosperity is a practice, not a destination. You practice, yes, the big one is money. That's all we know. So we practice. How do you practice that? By saving every time you get paid. So what's so wrong? We're doing a little bit of exercise physically, even if it's just to turn your ankles or your knees or do something. Just to move the body. Every joint needs to be oiled, just like your car needs a lube job and a filter change and all of that. And then you turn around and you look at mentally, what are you practicing? What are you learning lately? Are you afraid of AI? And you think it's going to jump out of the wherever computer and bite your head off? Are you afraid? Are you afraid of social media? Or do you have people tell you shouldn't be on social media? You're going to get this or you're going to get that. Yet the people they should speak to about it, which are the young ones, they forget. So you see, you mentally, emotionally, you have to balance. And when you, of course, you pray, you ask, and you do not receive, you have to just remember it's divine timing. It's not here yet. Don't get angry at the God you cannot see. So remember, that is what prosperity is all about. If you want to strengthen your physical pillar, for example, reading a book on health doesn't lower your blood pressure. No, it won't. Walking for 15 minutes does. I came across this man, an older man in his late 70s, and he was talking about the simple things he did that took 10 minutes every morning. And he started practicing it, and it has made such a difference to his life. He said, when I first get up, I don't get up out of bed. I sit and I start breathing through my nose for 10 times. I breathe through my mouth with my hands next to my side. I move my ankle and lift my legs and bring it down. I massage my neck, my face with my hand. And then when I put my feet on the floor, I lift my legs up again. And then when I get to the washroom, I start massaging my stomach for the digestion to keep working. So he does those things. And then he says, when it's been hard this winter, So I walk around the house for 10 minutes. And he said, I do 10 minutes of walking. Of course, it's challenging because I started it, but no, I'm good at it. And when the weather is, he goes outside. So physically, he's doing that thing to bring down his blood pressure. That's what he said. So you see, this is the picture of how it all unfolds. You start small, you stay consistent, and suddenly the life you imagine becomes the life you're living. We know that. We know that if only one of the pillars, money. We start small. I told you I started at $1.75 every payday, every 2 weeks. But the life you imagine is becoming the life you're living. It becomes that you're here, you're in the moment. So the analogy we need to have is always an example to see. This analogy must come through for us. Imagine you're building a garden. You can have the best seeds. Your spiritual pillar, you have it. You got the information. You have to be kind, respectful, and all of that. Treat others as you want to be treated. Everybody is good enough. Honor your father and your mother. All of that. And these are the best tools. Your financial pillar, you have it going too, and you're looking at it. But if those seeds stay in the packet on the shelf, you will never see a flower. So you have all that information, how to treat yourself and how to treat others. And then, of course, what you do is that you just don't do any of it. You don't treat yourself. You don't respect yourself. You criticize the tiny wrinkles over there and over here. And while you're wasting time looking at them, the world is passing by. And this is the time you should say, I'm good enough. I did this. I've traveled. I took chances. I had opportunities. I stood up for what was right. I taught others how to behave. I nurtured children, my own, and sometimes maybe as a teacher, I nurtured children. Then it wasn't enough. And life threw grandchildren in my path, and those I nurtured too. And then it's not enough. And all the relatives need my support, and I was there for them too. Instead of looking at what you haven't done and the things you criticize yourself for, then check to see what you've done. That is why when I teach gratitude, I always remind you there are 3 phases of gratitude. We are taught since we're small to be grateful for what we receive. That's what it is. Be grateful for what you receive. But then I found out on that journey through gratitude was this. What about what you do for others? Be grateful. You had the strength, the heart, the love to smile at somebody today, to support somebody, to hold the door open. Be grateful you were able to do this. Instead of criticizing yourself. Be grateful that you stopped and dropped some money in somebody's hand who didn't have anything. Yes, be grateful that if it's a friend's birthday and you do not tell them you have everything already, I'm not going to buy you a gift. Then be grateful you just bought them something from the dollar store. And that is okay because you never know, it brings a smile to their face. Or you could share something that they said. Like, if I gave my friend Colin a recipe book, she would laugh at me because she does not like cooking, but she loves to bake. So if I gave her a recipe on baking, she's going to enjoy that. But I might feel giddy. I'm a mischievous human. I might just do that just to aggravate her. And I know she's going to just laugh and ask me to behave as an adult. But the thing that you have to plant those seeds when you're looking at the weakness of life in front of you, the wrinkles and all the things that are broken and this and that, and the dimples here, call them dimples. And if you have, so you see, if you do not water those things in the second phase of gratitude, which is all what I'm able to do, first for what you receive, all what I am able to do for others is important. You are grateful. I can hold the door open for the next human being. Some people can't, right? I do not believe in comparison, but I need to have an analogy for you. So let us look at the third point. I am grateful that I will receive what I ask for. I'm grateful I will receive peace and tranquility. I will be grateful that this will happen in my life because you're praying for it. Be grateful for what you haven't received yet. 3 stages of gratitude. Instead of standing in front of the mirror and criticizing every single thing, and then you go deeper. I'm so angry about what you did yesterday, but yesterday is gone. It's not coming back. So it's no point you do that. So water the seeds that you have. Implementation is the act of putting the seed into the dirt. It's messy when you start. It requires getting your hands dirty, and you have to water it before you see any green. You have to be there after it. But that first push into the soil is where the magic miracle begins. You have to remember that. If those seeds stay in the packet on the shelf, if all that information you have, you're not implementing it, then it's like not doing anything with all the blessings you receive. So one of the things we always have to remember as we're going through this journey called life is that may you always find the courage today to stop overthinking and start overdoing. Implementing is not the point of where you're just thinking, I'm going to do this, I know I'll do this. No, stop doing that. You have an idea, you have a thought, something new shows up. While you're in the kitchen peeling potatoes, you get a thought. Wipe your hands, grab a pen, write it on a paper towel. That thought is the seed. And if you ignore the seed, you won't have the plant. And then you will be like one of those people that I talk about that narrows their body into a little person when they're talking about their regret. I don't know if you have seen this, but it is not a good picture to look at. Somebody you know, and it could be male or female, young or old, they all regret. And when they don't take action, they regret. And they're telling you what happened, what was the action they missed. And they repeat it over, and if I had known, and if I had known. And there's this British saying that if stands stiff, it doesn't move. If just is if. If I had known, I would have been more careful. If I had known, I would have if all the time. But if comes because regret is sitting in your lap. And that's why they narrow. Regret sucks them dry. The person telling you of the chances they missed, the opportunities they missed, the people they ignored, the behavior that they wish they could pull back, the words they used that destroyed others. And then it never actually goes away. Education without world experience doesn't make a difference to you. Because you have all the education, but you've never been in a culture that's different from yours. You never interact with somebody. You just judge them. Oh, they're this, they're black, they're green, they're yellow, they're disgusting. But you'll find out that if you just go in and question, ask, be part of the journey called life, because you're on this earth, that you will be highly more educated and you'll be able to sift through things that are not real. So the point that you have to realize in this is that when you have knowledge, you need to use it. If you know how to do something, then do it. Do not be afraid. You're doing it and somebody's looking over your shoulder. Do it anyway. I had a friend that wanted to go, and she was going to go away and wherever she came from to open a bakery. She was still in Canada. And when she said that to me, I couldn't even think. I'm saying, if when God, Jesus had looked at that 3 fish and whatever that was in that basket, I've never figured it was 5 and 3, 3 and 5, I have no idea. And he said, that is hardly enough for you, me and my 12 disciples. I'm not going to share it. If I share it, then we won't have enough. But she sat there and she looked at me. And she said, when I go to open that bakery, I'm going to make sure I don't let anybody see my recipes. And I will be doing on myself because people will copy. And somebody else told me that you have to be careful. Don't share your recipes with others. And I said, it's so sad that you're thinking of that because you are taking penicillin or insulin. And she said, what does that have to do? I said, think. The first person that started working on insulin for somebody like you, if they had just said, I am not sharing it with Madame Curie or whoever they were, because she'll get it and she'll be better than me, then you wouldn't be cured, would you? You wouldn't have something to help you live a fulfilled life, would you? But here, you haven't even gotten there. You're not even standing. You don't have a building. You're not in the place. But look at what you're implementing, not sharing. Fear. She's implementing fear in her life. I don't want to share my recipe with anybody. Really? When you share the recipe with somebody, that person might improve it and tell you, you know what? I used a little bit more sugar, or I took some sugar, I add some salt, I put something else. You never know. And the joy, and they can call you and say, look at this, look at what you got me to make. I love it. Everybody was so happy. But she stopped that. So fast forward to today, she doesn't have a bakery. She did not implement anything. She was just finding ways to stop others from growing from her seed. She's not going to hand the seed to somebody else. And she kept her seeds for herself, and the seeds stayed inside of her. So she doesn't have it. But she had the audacity to tell me how she regret not doing it. And then, and I said, what? You're talking to me about regret, not doing this? When you were the one that told me you won't share your recipes, make sure nobody in the world sees your recipes. And now you're talking to me about that? I said, you're talking to the wrong person, because I remember everything you said. And her response was, that is why I don't like to tell you anything. You never forget. And I said, it's not that. It's still, you're aging, and you still haven't learned. You didn't get your bakery, but because you didn't implement getting the bakery, you implement stopping somebody else from getting their bakery. Because if you do it, somebody might open the store next door. And my father said to me, the person that's doing the same thing you're doing is not your competitor. Your competitor is somebody that's doing something completely different. That's your competitor. But the person who does the same thing, the same job like you, is not your competitor. It's the person that's doing something completely different. So you are playing cricket, the person that plays soccer. That's your competitor. You want them to play cricket. Those that know the game, it doesn't matter. They'll come if they have to. So your job is to find the person that is not exposed to what you're doing and bring them in. And that's how he explained it to me. So when this lady is telling me about not sharing her recipe, but she hasn't even got implemented the bakery, no structure is in place, no oven, no baking is happening. And today she regrets not doing it and saying that she was afraid but not doing it. But that is not how life works. Life does not work like that. When you have a thought or an idea, you need to implement it. Many times I've given you guys the experiences that I have had. I get a lot of inspiration. Stop, go, do this. And I follow them. And every time I don't, I end up having a little accident or something happen, or it just doesn't work out. So whatever thought you have, whatever inspiration you have, whatever knowledge you have gone to school and learned to get, and today you want to implement it, and you find that you are not implementing it, you need to take a stance back and look at it and say, why? What is wrong with me? What am I afraid of? Because fear is a big thing, but selfishness comes with fear. When you're selfish, you're fearful. When you're doubting yourself, you believe you're not